Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I typically do reviews, reactions, TV shows, clothes, things on the news, all that. Tonight I'm doing a review on the latest episode of the challenge. Yes, we are somehow not at the finale yet. Next week's episode is going to be the finale, spoiler, sorry. But we are down to the wire. I have a lot less notes than usual because, I don't know, it just kind of winded down. It was a little bit more messy because a lot was going on, a lot for me to keep up with. But let's just start out. I have my notes here. Nany claims that her dreams came true when Amber B took Fessy away, and Nany said that she doesn't want to be with anyone else outside of Kyle. Even though they separated twice. They've been partners. She separated, he separated, they came back together again. Also, Fessy is like the main denominator in the sense that people do not want to be with him. Like, they're with him at some point because he's this big, macho, strong guy, but his personality, his cockiness is just obviously too much for people to want to deal with. But it doesn't mean that people are removing themselves from Fessy due to that. It's just like they complain about it, but like you have to go into the crater and then win and then change partners if that's the case. But yeah, everyone just has a lot to say about Fessy. During Kam's confessional, she kind of confirmed what I just said and said that she doesn't think that Fessy thinks that anyone's a good partner for him. Fessy has been ranting and saying this and that and saying like, yeah, no one's a good partner for me. I feel like I haven't been able to compete all season. Boy, you were a double agent twice with Aneesa. You have your gold skull, so obviously you were able to compete at some point. Stop like ragging on the girls and just take ownership into your own hand. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. And I really liked Fessy prior to this season, but his personality has just been a little bit much, but maybe that's just how the editing works. We see Leroy and Kam having a moment in the hot tub, saying like, I'm really happy for us. We made it this far. I think that we can get to this final, win this money. Like, we are in love. We're going to be living together post this season, things like that. And I'm happy for them considering how they were years ago during that finale reunion when he had only negative things to say about her. But obviously, they were broken up at that time. At 5 a.m., 5:30 to be exact, TJ came into the bunker to cause havoc. I don't know what I'm saying, and wake them up. He said that one person in the pairs, excluding CT because he's not a pair, had 5 minutes to get ready and leave with TJ. Fessy's like, I'm just gonna take matters in my own hand. I'm gonna go. Like, I'm not gonna let you decide, Amber. Like, I'm just gonna go myself. And in Amber's confessional, she was just like, Fessy cares about no one else except him, and she just doesn't F with him, and no one else does. I'm like, yeah, he just only thinks about himself, which is kind of what you do in this show. It's your game. You come in here not knowing anybody, and you want the money. You can have to make friends along with that, but that's kind of just how it is. The partners that were taken are in a... I'm so sorry, I'm stammering so much. We're taken in an volcano, and they kind of have like, how would I say, like handcuffs on them. And essentially the other partners have to go through all these little like stipulations to try and get them and rescue them. So the agents, Kam, Nany, Casey, and Amber B, somehow all the girls were the ones who had to rescue the guys. The guys were the ones that all decided for themselves that they wanted to be captured, but they didn't really know in what content. They have to run a total of 5 miles, but also with the partner at some point, do 2 different checkpoints that involve math problems, unlock the partner, and then run again the whole total of the 5 miles. Things to note. Fessy was mouthing off about Amber B and saying he's had bad partners and it's been a bad season. He hasn't had a time to show his potential, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, again, Fessy has a gold skull. He's a good competitor. He's 6 foot something. He's a big guy. He was a D something player in football. Like, we know Fessy's capabilities, but it's a lot harder when like you're a good individual player and you have other partners. You kind of have to rely on someone else to essentially help you win. It's a lot, but like he hasn't been losing this entire season, so he needs to stop saying that like he's won, but whatever. Also, it was neck and neck at the end of the challenge. A last thing to note, Amber B did not make it past the first checkpoint. It was a math problem. It was like 3 digits multiplied by another digit. I understand that there's no paper, but like 3 out of the 4 girls were able to do it. There was snow. I'm sure they can kind of draw it out with their fingers, I think. I don't know if that disqualifies them, but like she didn't make it past the first one. And math, puzzles, memorization are big things for her final. So she has to like work on that before they get to it if she makes it that far. But at the end of the challenge, Kam and Cory won, and I was happy for them. Fessy and Amber B did not stand a chance, and Fessy still, I know I keep saying his name, but this is just literally every other scene he was complaining, and this is just me writing it down as it happened. He complained again about how he had no chance to compete at all. Fessy tried to convince Casey to vote herself in, so it ultimately be Kyle versus Leroy, and result in his game not being jeopardized. I'm like, I understand that Casey has an allegiance to Fessy. She has an allegiance to people who were in Big Brother, hence Fessy. They're friends, they were in the same season. But like Leroy and her have been dominating for the past 3 weeks, like winning. And I understand she has loyalties loyalties with Fessy, but you and Leroy have been doing so good. Are you going to jeopardize that now? But again, like, they're friends outside of this. They were friends before she was ever partnered with Leroy, so there's something to take into consideration. But Kam and Leroy have suspicions about Casey's loyalties because she started to be dodgy about whether she'd stick with Leroy, if she's going to go against him. Like, there was a lot on the line at this point that at some point they kind of all started rallying around to try and say that they should have Fessy obviously be the house vote and that they'd vote in Cory. I missed that part. I don't know if it was kind of like hush-hushed and then you kind of had to assume that's what it was going to be. But I was like, when was Cory's name brought in? Because Cory is Kam's partner and he's like a good guy, or at least on this season. During the Igloo drinking session, Casey told Fessy that he should throw himself into the crater so he can win and ultimately pick Casey as his partner. But before the crater session, Nany and Kam were able to see that Kyle and Fessy are just going to pick Casey if they win, if they do go down, if that makes sense. You know, you obviously have to win to pick somebody. And Kam called him out on it, and Fessy was just being hella rude. But, like, he knows that he's being obvious about it. Like, he was like, yeah, so what? But, like, that's your plan. You said that if you win, you're going to pick Casey. Kyle knows that he picked Casey, too, because Casey's a really strong woman competitor. But with that, with Fessy having all this, like, being vocal about how he's going to change partners, that essentially puts down Amber B, who he was complaining about at the beginning of the episode. Amber is upset. She's crying because, again, it makes her look bad, or makes her look like a bad competitor. It is her rookie season. Whenever it's your rookie season, people think down on you entirely. Kam tried to console Amber B, not only to just help her out, but to ensure that that's one less vote against Leroy, because if she votes for herself, that takes Fessy out, and Leroy's not going to go up. Cory tries to convince Fessy to stay and make himself the house vote to keep his hands clean. 1, if Fessy's the house vote, and make his partner Kam happy. 2, he doesn't have to seem sneaky by voting for him, like, in a sneaky way without him knowing. And Fessy is kind of getting convinced by everybody, because everyone's like, Fessy, you talk a big talk. You say you're, like, the biggest competitor. You say you're, like, the next big T or CT, things like that. So why don't you make yourself the house vote? But, yeah, it's just like, oh, okay. Prior to the deliberation, Leroy and Kam convinced Kyle to vote to make Fessy the house vote. This is what confused me. I don't feel like they needed to tell Kyle to vote for Fessy to make him the house vote. I feel like the numbers were there already for Fessy to go down regardless of Kyle. He was one person. I think he only needed 4, and then it was a whole house. So either way, like, one less vote from Kyle wouldn't have changed things. But they were doing that because Leroy was getting really, really paranoid about the possibility of him going down and not making it to the final. But Kyle's like, okay, I'm shaking your guys' hand on it. I will shake your hand, and I will help you out as long as my name gets removed from the situation. I don't have to go down. And they were like, yeah, because we're going to put Cory down. Essentially backdoor him for Big Brother terms. Where am I next? During the deliberation, Fessy said he's going to read out a speech off of a piece of paper. And it started out well, kind of like, you know, I'm enjoying my time here, just letting you guys know that. And then he's like, I know I come off arrogant and overconfident. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And just had a long ass speech, not saying like it was bad or not. He just had a lot to say. Maybe it was needed for him to have this typed out or written out, because I feel like maybe he would have gone off, popped off. He had his moments throughout the season, so I feel like it was maybe better or best for him to write it out, which is what he did. After that happened, Amber B chimed in about it being her rookie season and wanting to prove herself while holding tears back, because she's like, yeah, I am a rookie. I know you guys look down on me. I know you don't think that well of me anyways. And then Fessy's confessional was like, girl, I got this covered. Like, why are you making this about you? I already made the speech. Like, why are you going to continue to chime in? Like, your little input wasn't needed. And like, Fessy, stop being this person. Even if it's like not to their faces and it's in the confessional, they still see this later. Like, it's still talking about somebody, especially that was your partner. But whatever, like, it's just, he just always has something to say. So then after that all happened, like, the voting did happen again. Kyle did go back to Leroy and Kam saying like he did do it to confirm it. Nany said that the plan was to send Cory even before Fessy nominated himself, so I feel I'm gonna have to rewatch this episode to see that happen, because I missed that somehow. I don't know. And then we see it. We see this episode play out pretty crazily. Kam and Cory both voted for Kyle, because is this what's happening? I'm like brain farting. I'm so sorry. So we find out that Fessy is the house vote, right? Okay. In that moment, Cory is like, wow, I'm really happy. I've kept up my end of the bargain. I like Kam as a partner. We want to support Leroy. Like, this is good. And Kam is like having second doubts about trying to make Cory the person that goes down, if that makes sense. It's just like, wow, like I feel really bad. Like, yeah, I know I was on board with it, but I'm like having hesitancies because like he's actually on my side and like being a good partner. We get down to the crater and we see it's the hall brawl, like the two glass things need to slam at each other. We find out it's Fessy, like it was unanimous. It was no one didn't vote for Fessy. And then TJ tells Kam and Cory to vote for who they want to go against him. It was somehow supposed to be Cory. I don't know if Cory is supposed to vote for, let's just say Kyle, and Kam was supposed to vote for someone else. They're going to have differing opinions, and then that would make Cory go down by default. But Kam was like, I'm going to vote for Kyle. Kyle's heart broke. I felt so bad because, like, either way, if they blindsided Cory, I'd have felt terrible because, like, he was just so happy and cheesed up and, like, proud to be with Kam. But then with the Kyle thing, he was so convinced it was going to be Cory that, like, he was just so stunned and just wasn't ready for that to happen. He's like, wow, I thought, like, Kam was, like, actually my friend. Like, he was partners with the Kam at some point. He had, like, he thought he had, like, a genuine friendship with her and Leroy. So, if anything, you could see that hurt on his face. Since the challenge was the hall brawl, I don't want to be that person, but it was obvious that Fessy was probably going to be the person to win because Fessy, again, he is 6 foot this, big boy, football, all this, and Kyle is not a big boy, but he's not Fessy. Fessy's bigger than him. It took one round for Fessy to not only go halfway past the halfway point, but to break Kyle's finger. His finger at some point, like, bent at this little, like, line here. Like, it was just literally, I think it was that way first. And then when the medics came out, it went this way. I was like, oh, this man cannot go. He cannot keep going. Like, there's, oh my, I have sprained ankles. I can only imagine what I've broken in that moment. The thing is, I don't even think he felt it. I think he, like, looked at his fingers like, oh shit, like, it's not supposed to bend that way. But he was medically unclear to continue, sadly. I felt so bad for him. He was crying. He said, like, I'm not crying because of the pain. I'm crying because of the pain of being, like, blindsided by Leroy and Kam. So, since Fessy won, he gets to choose whether he wants to infiltrate the house or keep his partner Amber B. We all knew what was going to happen. Fessy picked Casey, which meant that Leroy picked Nany because him and Nany have been friends for years. And then CT ended up with Amber B because that was like the last, I guess, girl that he could potentially have a partner with. TJ finally revealed that they were all going to the final. After how many episodes? I really wish they could have done it last week. I don't know. I do like Kyle. I kind of wish I would have seen him in the final, or just, I don't know, like, it was already even last week, or was it last week, the week before? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was even at some point, but just, like, let's just break it down again. But I'm really curious to see how this is going to go. I wonder if this is just me, I guess, having hypotheses, guesses. I could see Casey and Fessy winning it all, but then I don't want it to be predictable just because, like, they're both strong people. Like, things could happen. Like, maybe Fessy's not good at puzzles. Casey wasn't good at numbers or something. Like, Leroy's really good at numbers, and Nany seems to be good at it somewhat as well, too. Leroy's a good runner. Nany is not the best runner, but, like, there's just little different factors with people, so I don't really know how it's going to play out. Kam, I like Kam, too, but again, I love Kam and Leroy's strategy of being different partners because if one person loses, there's a, like, 1 in 4 chance that they could win still because they're, you know, a couple. But, yeah, sorry, I had little stammers here and there, but, like, that's just life. I have my notes. I'm having it in one take. But let me know what you thought of the review, the season, and what your predictions are of who's going to win. But see you in the next video. Bye!